Hey everybody, I'm going to do a stream today on the new, relatively new, Draconic Rage module that's been introduced for Neverwinter. It's all about dragons, and I do like me some dragons. So this is an expansion that is continuing the dragon-heavy content that Neverwinter, the MMO, has had based on the lore, a lot of it new lore, that appears in the book Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. There's two types of covers there. And what this really digs into is the books have a bunch of sections, or the book has a bunch of sections that cover the lairs of dragons and what the dragons behave like, what they favor, their types of treasures, aspects like that. And there's a heavy multiverse aspect here as well. This idea that dragons sort of echo through different worlds in time. That is not being directly used in the Neverwinter game, but there's sort of a play off of it with the idea that dragons sort of reach into other, I guess, other visible, almost like planes that you can see into, like the way you can see into the ethereal in the D&D game. It's sort of that kind of idea that you are able to see these sort of interesting aspects of magic and other elements, and so you see that in their layers. So I am going to go into this character, Chance, and she's gonna take this trip of starting in our City of Protectors Enclave. It is the sort of what's called Lyra's event, and this is a July 4th, basically, event. Just renamed. And so you can see it's really pretty. It's nighttime, whereas normally it's daytime in the city, the main Protector's Enclave area of Neverwinter. All right, let's mount up on my Gorgon, and we are going to go talk to Sergeant Knox, who's the kind of main quest giver in the game.
Protector's Enclave needs your help.
Doesn't it always?
Dragons of Faerû grow restless.
Yeah, so this builds on, if you watched the last video where I showed how we confront Valindra and Elminster saves us at the last second, we kind of prevented Valindra's plan from going off correctly. Valindra is a witch, or sorry, a lich, who is Thayan in nature, often allied with them, and she kind of bent a lot of things to her will to try to use a mythal and completely change how dragons operated. So it's a kind of neat story. And we prevented this Scalebright mythal from doing what it was supposed to do, but it has still managed to enrage dragons. So the idea is that dragons all over are super angry, and well, there's only one way to handle that, which is apparently to hunt them down. So we go to a whole new area down these back alley streets, which we have right here. We get a little cutscene. Minster's talking a dragonborn into joining a dragon hunt.
Protector's Enclave is my priority now.
And that's precisely why I came to you. Protector's Enclave needs you more than ever.
Long time, Barash. The crew's set up and ready.
So this Smerdiuk, there's some lore here that there is a book on dragon hunting that appears in some of the old, I think, 2nd edition source books. Could be 1st edition, but I think 2nd edition. And so the idea is that Smerdiuk has come back, and it's going to help us become a dragon hunter. And this will reward us because the city's being attacked by dragons, so we need to figure this out. You see this little area, it's kind of cool. There are a whole bunch of his gang that are all arranged here by this gate. Normally, the game just ends with this gate here, and you can travel to other areas of the map by coming here. But this has been expanded to show the outer walls, which is kind of a neat way to look at, how these places should be. That you have a gate, but then you have a second little courtyard, and then another gate, and that is a sort of stopgap measure for any invaders. And we have a couple of people, General Barash, who's been introduced before when the Dragonborn was first introduced to the game. And we got a number of team members who he'll introduce us to over time. Smerdiuk will.
Another day, another glorious hunt. So, you're the famed hero of Neverwinter.
So yeah, we're gonna, I mean, there's a lot of talk here, but basically the idea is let's go tear up dragons. He's gonna teach us how, and we're gonna get a whole new variety of currencies because this game's always full of currency. And so right now nothing else happens. We get this quest, and what it tells us is we actually have to go and use the queue system to do a dragon hunt. We get a special one that is just for us. No other players will join. One player, and we are just going to do this dragon hunt. So let's see what this looks like. And this kind of does bring back some fond memories of, I had a character who I named Arachnos the Dragon Slayer. And when I did that, this is like one of the earliest, maybe like the third character I made or something like that, way back in the 80s. And when I made that character, I sort of at one point told the DM, you know, like, hey, he's supposed to hunt dragons. Give me dragons. And the DM did. Gave me one at a time all of the dragons, and I fought and defeated all of them with this fighter of mine. Pretty fun.
Like it was yesterday, being on the brink of death. Excruciating pain.
I like this you know, box text, we're going to call it. Deep emotional scars, yeah. Yeah, so let's do a dragon hunt. We come over here, we interact with this table, and it's going to take us to the dragon's lair. So one of the things that's neat, these are not, I checked very quickly to look at, you know, the map and see, does this look, you know, exactly like the maps that are given in the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons book? No, not exactly, but they're similar. And so they're drawing some inspiration from it in some cases, as well as using art that already exists in the game. But you know, kind of fun. There's some neat details, and we're gonna come here and yeah, just get straight to attacking a dragon. So the dragons have been beefed up. They have a sort of nicer way that they fly around. They have a lot of, you know, text, things they say to you, ways they interact with you. And then they have a number of powers in addition to the idea that they'll enrage. It doesn't have any real game mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons necessarily, though it could represent a number of, you know, legendary actions or, you know, action points, things like that have been in different editions. And what you'll see here is each type of dragon has different impacts. So that breath there put a bunch of debuffs on me that can be seen there. It can do some tail slaps like it just did. Pools of fire, which you saw. You can see here, you know, it's strong stuff. It does not kill me immediately or anything like that, but this is also my intro dragon hunt. This is, you know, sort of a special thing. And so it's not a meant to, you know, take me out, and I just use some healing potions and I can get through it. And the way these dragons work is when you get the hit point bar of the dragon far enough down, like below 75%, the dragon retreats. And we get to, in this quest, talk to Smurdiuk.
There they go, flying away toward their horde. Despite their level of intelligence.
So we have to track it down. That's fair. And one of the things that this lets you do is explore more of the, and this always happens. You get to 75%, it runs away, then you get to 50%, it runs away, and then finally you meet the dragon and deal the last half its hit points, and it dies. When it really should get away. But it lets you explore the dragon's lair and meet some of its minions. In this case, these are kobolds. These are all based on the 4th edition version of the game. Sly blades and worm priests, and names are right out of 4th edition. There can also be some lore, which is kind of neat. So like in this little pile, you actually find a page from the Dragon Hunter's Manual on how you can use various body parts to make armor and things like that. And that's kind of fun. And also each layer will give us a little lore on the dragons themselves, because each dragon has different types of layers that they favor. So, you know, red dragon might be found in a magma layer, a volcano, which is what this is sort of supposed to be. If you kind of look around, you can see, you know, we're underground and in some kind of very hot area. Fight through some more kobolds. There are some really nice layers, like, you know, there's a swamp-like layer for the black dragon, and the green is more of a forest. White is up in a icy peak, right? So it's that kind of thing. So we get through some foes, we come up, and it's time to fight the dragon again. The red dragon is pretty straightforward with the pools of fire, the breath weapon that deals fire damage. But some of the other dragons are a lot more involved. Like they'll do things like daze you, stun you, make you flee, and that creates a tougher situation for sure. But you're usually also attacking with multiple players, and so that gives you a little more time to adjust and deal with what the dragon's doing. But you can see, it deals decent, even in this intro, it deals decent damage. And if I did not have any healing potions, I would certainly get killed before I could beat it down. But this dragon, especially this kind of intro experience, getting it to 50% hit points, that went pretty quickly, right? That was a quarter of its hit points we just dealt to get it from 75 to 50. And now it flies off, and we continue on exploring the chambers. And again, sometimes there are little things hidden around the edges, so whenever you go to a new dragon lair, you can check out and see if they give you new bits of lore. I've done this with the different characters, so I'm familiar with what the red dragon lair has and where the lore is. I'll just show you the important parts. Yeah, what else? We're almost there. They make this one particularly short, which is nice. Dragon Shield kobolds. I like the little kobolds. They have a nice way. It makes me miss 4th edition just because the kobolds had such neat kind of different ways of working together, playing off of those roles. So here we are. We face off our dragon Dalagerlenfell, something like that is this dragon's name. And we are again going to just hammer away at this foe and get the last 50% of the hit points down. You've seen most of what the dragon is going to do, so I will just, between dodging, I will do my best to just take it down and make as quick work of this as possible. I have to dodge them. I like the one thing that's really nice is they've made this dragon very dynamic, so even when you dodge blows, you can get out of some problems, but others will send you flying, which forces you to rearrange on the battlefield, so it's not just a static thing. That's kind of neat. I find the dragons that, like the black and green, that'll do a lot of stunning. That is, I find a bit too annoying. It's just like in Dungeons & Dragons itself. When you lose turns with your character, it becomes a little lame. You want to do cool stuff, not be sitting there in a penalty box. The other thing is you tend to have a rotation of powers you want to use in Neverwinter, and so when that rotation gets upset, it just throws everything off, and you could have been really, waiting for this to try to have a nice setup. Oh, I'm in the fire. That's a nice big hit I just landed. We're almost there. There she goes. Dalagerlenfell. Boy, dragons and their names. So we get a bunch of currency, little kind of doohickeys that you need to use to make some of the currently best armor in the game and best rings and other artifacts, all the stuff that you equip your character with that you see here on the screen. So I must talk to Smurdiak again.
Well done, adventurer. I might actually be impressed.
We're going to use every scrap of the dragon we can, which is sort of tied into that whole making and buying items. And so we've succeeded, and one of the neat things is at the end of every dragon's lair is the dragon's hoard, which is a big part of the lore of a dragon. You get a very minor reward from the treasure chest, which is really silly given exactly how much treasure there's around here. I mean, you could retire forever as an adventurer based on this. But you do get to kind of run around a bit and explore and find something. And there's always, almost always, I think, might always be lore. So in this case, if we go to the Dragon Hunt section and look up this lore, it tells us that we found some golden, a chest full of gold things, and it comes from Keldagon, which ties into the Mad King story that was present before in Dragonborn Vale. So that's kind of nice. I like when they expand upon the lore like that. So this dragon, I guess, had known the Mad King or stolen from the Mad King. So that's kind of interesting. And once you're done with picking up any lore, got your reward, you just come out of this place. And we get to turn in our quest for having met Smurdiak.
Anything else?
And yeah, so that's pretty fun. In this case, when we do this first quest, we get to meet a couple of the other team members, which walks us through some of the kind of currency exchanges and other mechanisms that exist here. The idea is that when you are doing dragon hunts in the game, you can make them harder in exchange for more currency being provided, so you can sort of accelerate your goals, have more of a chance of things dropping. It's a way the game kind of works through the interactions here, to create engagement in an MMO world. Okay, is what it is. And I get a chest the first time to start me out with some different items to use. But that's the concept. And then the idea here is that now I'm supposed to go off and do a bunch of different dragon hunts. And so when I go to this campaign, I've got to get through with getting items that drop from the adult dragons. But to do that, I must fight smaller dragons. And eventually I can get all kinds of armor. None of this is really tied to D&D. This is really just MMO mechanics. But what is interesting lore-wise is there are some neat ideas in the book that are about the concept of getting cool, powerful items that are part of a dragon's horde, and that they can be expressions of the dragon itself. So by defeating dragons, we learn more about them, and we find items that tell us more about their story and maybe how they echo into other worlds, and that can be kind of interesting stuff. So I think that's pretty neat. But that's the start of it. Maybe what I'll do now is I'm going to swap characters, and I'm going to do one more dragon hunt at the adult level. I'm still working on getting through the adult levels. And once I have enough, I need 3 more, then I can do the ancient ancient dragon hunts. So this is an example of how you can do this. I'll be thrown into a party with 2 other players. So there'll be 3 of us together, and we get to add the modifiers that I talked about. So we'll come together to this first little area to the side near the map, and here we get to propose to each other what kind of modifiers to have. So I can say, oh, let's give it more. We'll reduce our stamina, and we'll give the dragon more health, and it'll be balanced against what other people choose, and we get to see what we end up with. So we got the enemy health increased, and then sort of dragon minions are more powerful, which is a nice easy one. And now we're going to go in and fight it. Okay, so this looks like a green dragon. Kind of fun. I think the first time you come here, there's some lore. Somewhere around here, maybe. I forget. I like these crystals. The glowing crystals are a nice touch. Very beautiful, beautiful landscape, right? So that's one of the neat things I like about this, is seeing the lore they bring together. Now I'll be using my cleric. Last time I was using my rogue. This is a cleric that's kind of a smite type cleric. These dragons will be, this will be a more formidable fight as we take it on, because it's intended for a party of 3 players, and it's intended to sort of feel like a tough challenge. I really do like the dragons doing things like wing buffeting and moving around. You can see like just moving around and sort of daze me for a second, and that's kind of fun. It's laying down lots of pools of toxic stuff that if I step in, they just vanish, but if I step in, it'll do damage. And then we also have this breath weapon, of course. Oof, and that hurts. That's a lot of hit points that just vanish. So you can see it's pretty impressive how much damage the dragon can lay down. I think they've done a good job of making these bigger dragons fun to take on. And this dragon, because it's adult, it's got a certain level of difficulty that it's giving to me. But when they get to the ancient level, then you need a fairly good party to tackle it quickly. because it's even harder. I do find that these dragons have a sort of very high level of health, which can be true of Dungeons and Dragons creatures sometimes, but in this case, it really is. It takes longer than I'd like to interact with these dragons and get through these fights. I mean, so we're just trying to work on that first quarter before the dragon hides or flies away, and you can see like we're wailing on this thing, 3 players, and it takes a while to get to the 75%. Although it looks like, is Quinn down? Yeah, Quinn is down. I was just gonna say we're not particularly hurt, but didn't get to him in time. I did not realize Quinn was down. Sorry about that, buddy. I usually try to be good about monitoring whether the rest of the party's doing okay. All right, so we got him away. Quinn gets to come back and join us. But really, really beautiful. I mean, it's such a neat layer. And it has a lot of aspects that come out of the Fizban's book. These idea of sort of magic crystals and dragon layers. That's a really fun idea. And here we have lizard folk. No, it's gnolls, I think, right? Yeah. Gnolls that are working with the dragon. Yeah, really nice decor. Brenda's still catching up to us. So we can wait here. Maybe not. Yeah, so stunned to the ground by that blow, which is kind of fun. But I think I'll evade your next attack, mostly. Apparently you like me, huh? Yeah. Breathe deep of my poison. I like the dialogue. Are we still 2 of us? Sure, yeah. That'll make it take longer. Yeah. Sometimes there's a little bit of delay.
For the flowers.
You can see it's a fair bit of work. Like it keeps you busy here, having to work on these dragons, dodging their pools. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of damage. We've almost got the dragon 50%. It's no joke. But I'm glad the landscape's so pretty when I'm doing this kind of battle. Hey, Demerald, how are you doing? Oop. One player down, but got healed. I don't know where our 3rd player went. I do not see them around. Should stop taking damage. Certainly is different than the turn-based combat in Dungeons & Dragons where you are you're doing more damage than I want to take. Let's do some healing. yeah, it's different than the turn-based combat where you kind of get to plot out what you're doing in a particular round. This is just wailing away at it. There is some strategy as to what powers I choose when and how, but it is at the end of it wailing into this creature to try to bring it down. Oh, ow. There are some things that you can recognize. I actually would like a little more in terms of the recognizing what attacks they're using and doing, which is just dodge it all. It's bad. Yeah, it is angry. It does come at you when it goes. So dragon sometimes will do these kind of enraging things, and they will do a certain attack pattern. It's kind of their harder attack patterns more often. I like green dragons. They're probably my second favorite dragon type because they are corrupting the forest and sort of transmuting it, poisoning it, changing its nature in ways that I find very kind of creative and cool to deal with. One of the first Dragonlance books did that really well. All right, finally at 50%. So we got the dragon to flee, and I hope our third player is coming. It'd be nice if they showed up. So yeah, so here, yeah, and there's a Dragonlance adventure where the green dragon has just really corrupted the forest, and I always enjoyed that. And back at the beginning of 5th edition, there was an adventure that I got to write, an epic that was all about the dragon Cloggy Liamatar, which is a great name. Recently made it a Magic the Gathering card. And Cloggy Liamatar had started damaging this particular forest. And that was kind of cool to get to write and play with. Now I'm all alone fighting this thing. Oh, there's on. Apparently the other player can't get to us. That's weird. It got closed off. Well, I did not know that. Okay. So apparently it'll be a little longer because it's 2 players at a time. That's a pain. I didn't realize that. So apparently when one character dies, they are out until everybody finishes, which is kind of a pain. I don't know, that's particularly fun. Ouch. Yeah, I know. A lot of poison. Oh, I gotta not stand under poison. That's a bad thing. Dragon, 2 people. The dragon really wants to go after you. Alright. Come on. Oh, you're mean. You're a mean dragon. I probably should have equipped a better potion too that actually heals me full. Yeah, but I didn't, so.
Your bones will be my treasure.
Yeah, my bones might be your treasure. But we're gonna do our best. Here we go. Boom and boom. Take that critical hit. One of the things I have a problem with in the other player who designed this for 3-player content. yeah, there is that. The other person gets to just sit out the entire battle. At least this is not the dragon. I forget what the 2 kinds of dragons are. Maybe it's blue. And for sure the black dragon has a thing where it puts you in the penalty box of being dazed and stunned, and that's annoying. Not a big fan of that. Lots of falling bad spots. 12 seconds till I get my debuff back up. Launch a bigger attack. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Work it did. Boom. Boom. Those are some good hits. Ow. Oh, no. Flare down, flare down. Oh, he healed himself, alright. Good times, good times. That's a lot of hit points. Too many hit points on Dragon. Oh, I really should stop one of the pulse acid. It's kind of hard. Look at how much of that floor was covered in acid. Or poison. Poison. Green dragon. Alright, come on. So I think now it's enraged. That's why it's got the flames around its hit points. I think that's what that means. Yeah, look at that. It's all covered in flames. Angry. I'm angry too, buddy. Okay. Debuff coming up. Just heal myself. The game is sometimes not great about you press a button and nothing happens, which is I find really annoying. I'd like there to be a reason for why something doesn't turn on. Alright, down to just about a quarter of its hit points. We can do this. I think we shall be victorious. Ow. Poison. That dragon is poison. That's pretty sweet. I love that swirl attack it does. I think that's really cool design. Oh, stop doing so much damage to me. 14 seconds, huh? I'll try to time my debuff so I can use my bigger hits when I do a debuff with my mount. Okay, so there we go. And now that. Critical hit. And that guy. Oh, it didn't go off. Come on. Dodge. Oh my goodness, this guy's a brute. Ralph Dargarsarix. There's a name for you. There's one thing that dragons do is name each other some very interesting things. Right, come on, here we go. Flowers. No joke, this dragon. It'd be really nice if we had a third person here. We're getting there. Almost. Oh my goodness. Oh, where's my diva? Take that critical hit. Boom, almost. I'm out of divinity. I need more divinity.
Will be so sweet.
Ow. Thank goodness for health potions. Almost. Alright, here we go. Boom. You're gonna die one way or the other. Man, how many hit points do you have? It's like you're out, but you still keep on going. Hey, there we go. Dead dragon. Woo! That was a tough one. All right, what do we get? So you get parts: dragon's finger bones and dragon's horn. Because you might think that's a complete dragon. No, it's just parts. Only 2 parts. So, yay, we made it. We survive. So once you're done, then we go to the dragon's lair. Yeah, Claudiuliamatar is old Gnawbone. That is correct. I get a really lousy thing here, and then I think there's some sort of lore that's around here, but I think I've probably already gotten it. This was not old Gnawbone that we were attacking, sadly. I mean, maybe it's good. I guess I don't want Claudiuliamatar to die. But I think I already got the lore, that whatever it might be that's found around here. But I think it's really cool, the different treasures. They do a good job of it, and they all glitter. Yeah, whatever lore it is, I think I already picked up here. But I do like how every dragon's treasure has a little lore somewhere there that you can pick up the first time you go and explore it. And then once you've got your treasure, you can go out, and that's it. So that's basically what this Draconic Rage is about. There is the whole campaign that you can go through, the whole Dragon Slayer campaign. And as you do the ancient dragons, you get to unlock various rewards and all that kind of thing. And what else? And yeah, and then you can get the cool equipment from it. But that's it. 2 more dragons. I'll start doing the ancient dragons. Maybe I'll film that once I've got a good crew that I'm doing. Maybe with my alliance when we're doing a little faster kind of dragon hunt. I hope that you have enjoyed the walk through Draconic Rage. And I will see you next time on Lore of Neverwinter. If you like what I do here, please consider supporting my work. I write adventures, I write supplements. Recent work includes the rules for collaborative campaign creation, for which you can see the image on the right-hand side. You can get that for free on alphastream.org by signing up for my mailing list. And you will also receive updates for my blog articles. You can also support me by checking out all these other titles I've written. You can find those on thedmsguild.com. A full list of all my creations, from board games to role-playing games, can be found on alphastream.org. Subscribe and you won't miss any updates for my upcoming projects. Thanks so much.